Welcome to This Week from the Principal's Desk, a podcast about Lutheran schools and their leadership. This podcast is hosted by two Lutheran school leaders. My name is Rob Lunak, and I'm the superintendent of Lutheran Neighborhood Schools in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
And my name is Mike Sheeman, and I'm principal at Bethany Lutheran School in Parma, Ohio. And kind of excited to record this podcast today for a few reasons. First off, I think, Rob, it's fun to acknowledge this has been 2 years that we've been doing these podcasts, and what an opportunity just to continue to talk and learn from you, and then to engage with all the people that are listening. It's been a whole lot of fun. And then as we do this, it's nearly June, and for me anyway, here at Bethany, we are in our final week of school. And, I greeted all the kids this morning, and there was a mixture. It was kind of weird. There was a mixture of the high fives and the excitement of, yeah, we're at the last week of school, along with the tears, because it's kind of an emotional time for kids as well. Some of our 8th graders that are graduating that have been here their whole life, or some of the kids that just really enjoy school and realize, they have to take a break, which I think everybody needs a break. It's not a bad thing, but the mixed emotions are here. So we are kind of at the end of the school year. Now, you see this in the kids, but I'm not going to lie, you maybe see it in the staff a little bit too, or a lot. There's a lot of excitement. It's we're excited for a break. We're excited for kind of changing gears to reflect on what was and to look forward to what is to come. But today, Rob and I are going to talk about an intentional gap that exists in that time frame between the reflection of what was and what is to come. There's this period of time where you're going to be looking at all of the things that are still on your plate as an administrator, as an educator. How do you use this God-given gift of a summer to kind of adjust your priorities and maybe do a bit of a reset? So Rob and I are going to talk a little bit about that today as we navigate through the podcast.
Yeah, 2 years already, huh?
2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So summer, as a principal, it's a weird thing because you have a foot in the past and in the future kind of all the time. And summer is no different. And summer at least provides a little bit of a clean break. Okay, that year is over. We can now move on into the next year. But the question is, for the summer, for a principal, how much of that is work? How much of that is rest? And that is a really important question that you need to answer at the outset. Now, I understand that not everybody listening has the same summer calendar. Depending on where you live, some places are done with school now. Some places will start school July 1st. Some places are on what's called a balanced calendar, which I just heard about a couple months ago, where they'll have kind of a 9-week quarter. They'll take 2 weeks off. They'll have a 9-week quarter. They'll take 2 weeks off. Summer is about a month. That's about all you get. And then you jump right back into it. But it's still important to take some part of that calendar and draw this bright red line and say, okay, this is the end of this one year. The next year's coming up. This is my summertime. What do I need to accomplish? What do I need to do to rest and recharge? Because you cannot go all the time as a principal. We are really good about telling this to our teachers and giving grace there and saying, hey, it's the end of the year. You're tired. I get it. We want to finish strong, but I understand it's been a long year to get here. We're really good about this with kids, with parents. We are terrible, almost as a rule, when it comes to using this with ourselves. Because we go, okay, I'd love to take a break. I'd love to, but there's always something. But Mike, this is something that you actually taught me, is you have a vocation, and your priorities need to be God, then your family, then your job. And if you're not putting God and your family before your job, you're not going to do your job all that well for very long. Things will fall apart. You will fall apart. We are much better now than we used to be in the past about talking about rest, mental health, recharging, and my own personal soapbox I'll stand on for just like a half second. I think we went way too far to one end. So we're going to come back to the middle, I think, a little bit here. But it is still important, and it is still one of those things that we haven't traditionally done a great job of doing. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I think when we talk about vocation, I don't think this can be understated, because you're right, Rob. We need to put God and our family first. Now, one of the things that I am tremendously blessed with is a spouse who really understands church work. And there are times throughout the year as an administrator where I need to actually, I need to maybe prioritize work above my family. I hate even saying that. I don't like even saying it that way, but there's times where sacrifices need to be made. And throughout the year, I'm willing to bet any administrator listening to this can pinpoint a couple times throughout the year when they've needed to do that. There's been what I like to call the tyranny of the urgent that takes over, and you absolutely have to go and deal with this one thing because it could have a drastic impact on your school, on a staff member, on a student, and you have to deal with that in the immediate moment. I find that summer, that kind of tyranny of the urgent is almost absent for a couple of months, and I love it. So what I make sure that I do is to put my family number one during the summer months. So we actually, as a family, we try to plan our summer out ahead of time, like a couple months at bare minimum, a couple months ahead of time, because it gives us something to look forward to, which is really cool. But it also says that we're going to take care of our family first. And then if work has stuff that needs to happen in the summer, I'm going to work around my family to make the work stuff work. It really sends the message to my family as well that they are my number one priority, because they are. Now, it's still a bit of a balance, and you still will talk a little bit more about then what do your office hours become? How do you still work throughout the summer? But rest, as you talked about, Rob, isn't just always like kicking up your feet with a cold drink on the back porch. Rest can be kind of a different pattern of work as well, and I think summer is really leading us into that different pattern of work. But I would encourage everybody listening, make sure that you're questioning yourself to say, have I put my priorities in the right order? Because you correctly stated as well, Rob, that you can only be effective at work if your other priorities are in order. What's been your experience or your take on that?
Yeah, it's really important, and you have to put it on your calendar. And it sound when I first heard that advice, I'm like, what do I mean I got to put it on my calendar? I know when it's happening. I don't need to put it on my calendar. But you do, because when you're looking at your calendar, looking at your week, looking at your month, looking at your whole summer, planning things out, you go, okay, this is going to take a day, this is going to take 3 weeks, this is going to take 2 days. And if you don't have your family stuff on there, you just put stuff in where it looks like it makes sense. And then you go later, oh, that is the day we leave for vacation. And I scheduled a tour at 9 a.m. What did I do? Or you go, oh, we're supposed to be in Arkansas on a camping trip. And in the middle of that week, I scheduled a call with a textbook reviewer. Like whatever it is, if you don't put your family time on your calendar, it gets missed. And this goes both ways. So if you are married, you know that your spouse sometimes plans things and you don't find out about them till they're already planned. I don't know if that's maybe just my experience. I have a feeling that's probably pretty universal. So my wife and I have a shared calendar and she'll add things in. And so I go and I go, okay, I need 2 days to do X. And I look at my calendar and I go, oh, we're going here this day. I didn't know that. Cool. It's good to find out. But now I know so I don't have to plan things as bookends for it. And that's really, really important. So if you take anything away from this, scheduling is going to be a really big takeaway. Add things to your calendar. I don't care how small they are. I don't care how silly it seems. I don't care if it's an hour-long lunch with your wife on a Tuesday. Add it to your calendar.
Mhm. Absolutely. And then the other thing too is communicate that calendar. Communicate it to the people around you who are in your building or who you work with. Rob, you said earlier too that we always say to the teachers, it's okay, take time. You've got to do that. Depending on your school situation, you might not have anybody saying that to you. So let me be that one. Take time as an administrator over the summer. Take that time and do the things that you enjoy doing. Get recharged. And I would also challenge you because some people could easily say, but I can't, because if I go and do this, then I'm going to have a mountain of work behind me, or it's the only thing, I'm the only person that can do this one thing. And it's the whole analogy of get yourself a glass of water and put your finger in it, and then when you pull your finger out, tell me what changed in the glass of water. Nothing. I mean, there are things that have to get done. I get that, but you also are not God, so don't try to act like him. Give yourself a ton of grace, and hopefully you have school boards or other people, maybe your pastor, somebody else that's speaking that into you. But if not, I want to be that one to say, do what you need to do to take some time this summer and recharge, because if the battery is low and you're coming into another school year on a low battery, how is it going to be in October, in at Christmas, and into Lent? How's it going to be if you're already walking in on a small battery? Okay, so that's kind of my soapbox a little bit. I do feel that that's important. I do feel we've got to send that message again to our families, saying that number one. But let me tell you what I do, and then maybe Rob, you want to share what you do in the summer. So for me, I usually work through till the about middle to end of June. And then I actually guard July. I actually take the whole month and I guard it like crazy. Now, in that case, there's times when my family, we do go on vacation and I tell everybody I'm off the grid, period. I'm not going to look at my email. I'm not, and I have to force myself to do it. But there's also times where I know, okay, we're not on a family vacation right now, but it is July. So I will look at my email. I will do a couple of minor things or what have you. And then I know exactly the day that I come back and I proclaim that to everybody. So it's a matter of if I'm looking at something, there's an email or something like that, and it can push off until the day I'm back, I totally push it off. But part of the communication is also telling your families that you're doing that. So I would encourage you, put on your out of office reply, write it up and just say, if there's any drastic emergencies, here's the school's main number, or here's another email of somebody else that you're working with. Because stuff does need to get covered. The mail needs to get open, the bills need to get paid, the tours need to get done. That stuff does need to happen. But when I'm off, I know that I have other staff that are on and vice versa. So what do you do, Rob?
Yeah, I do a lot of the same thing. So I'll take kind of condensed work hours in the summer generally. So I'm home in the morning with the kids, home in the afternoon with the kids, because during a school year, you're never home in the morning. You're out the door right away, right? So and your kids, they're enjoying summer break too. There's something fun about, they get up and, you're still there and there's not this like mad rush to get out the door to get to school. And then late afternoon, I'll usually take like 9 to 2 as my general hours, and then I can be home in the afternoon, which I also never get to do during the school year. And that's really important to me. And the out of office responder I think is really helpful. And there's a little mental trick with this that I want to share. And that is set it daily for whenever you're leaving the office, and turn it on. Make it the last thing you do before you leave. I'm out of the office for the evening. It is summer break. I'm not answering emails after hours. I'll respond back tomorrow morning or whatever it is. And that is a really intentional sign. And then people see that and they go, oh, okay. I don't know why he had to set one for one day, but okay, I get it. And that I think more helps me get in the mindset rather than telling people, because I go, okay, it's summer break. I do need to protect this time, because it's easy nowadays with phones to check your email all the time. I got 5 minutes. I'll check my email. Oh, I'm sitting on the couch with my kids. I'll check my email. Oh, I'm at my kids' t-ball game and it's in between innings. I'll check my email, right? And so if you know that people know you're not going to be checking it, that helps you not check it. That's really important. And then spending that time before you even go, okay, these are our family trips. This is the stuff I need to do work for school. We already talked about adding all your family stuff to the calendar first. After that, I make a little grid. It's a little 4-box thing. It's got importance of something on the y-axis and ministry impact done on the x-axis. And I schedule things and coordinate them, block them out. Is this really important? Is this really going to propel our ministry forward? Is it important for our ministry? If both of those are a yes, it's got to get done. If it's really important and it doesn't really have a great ministry impact, opening the mail, paying the bills, it's scheduling your fire inspection, right? Really, really important things. I wouldn't say they're advancing the mission of Christ, hardly at all, right? I guess you could make the argument that paying your bills definitely does that, right? I could hear that. But those things, if those are things that you absolutely are the only one who has to do them, then they got to get done. If you have somebody else who can do those things, then schedule those things. And then you get to all the other stuff. Not important, doesn't impact the ministry at all. I don't even want to pick things out here because I'm going to upset somebody. But for me, I'll say bulletin boards. I'll say bulletin boards. I don't think they're super important. I think there are better ways you can do things. Decoration and all that's great. I just don't know if it's got to be confined to a little like 4x5 board in your hallway. That's my own soapbox. We've been on a couple soapboxes today. But I'll block everything out there and I'll say, okay, what are the things that are really important that really impact the ministry? Those are my must do things for the summer. Those go on the calendar right after all my family stuff. And then everything else outside of that. Because as Mike said, if you don't prioritize that stuff, it will get prioritized for you.
Mhm.
And that's what you don't want. As a leader, you don't want that. You want to say, these things are important because I've decided they are important. You don't want the calendar to tell you what's important or whatever's on your desk at the moment to tell you what's important. And it's going to get really easy in the summer to do 50 million little things that have no impact on anything because you're trying to stay busy because the building is empty. You're not going to have those pulls, go observe this classroom, go out to recess, go visit the cafeteria for lunch. You're not going to have those things. So you have to fill now your whole day based on your entire structure. And if you don't have that structure, it gets structured for you. And then this happens every year. We always get to a week before teachers come back and we go, gosh, I didn't accomplish nearly all the things I wanted to accomplish this summer.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, Rob, the list is never ending. I mean, you can continue, you could work every day and still not feel like you've accomplished anything. Or everything. Let me restate that. But it is also, though, if we're talking about all the different vocations, we've talked about being a family person, but God is first. So why don't we talk for a minute about how do we live in our vocation and recharge with some time with God? And actually, there's a resource that came out through LEA. A principal down from Zion in Georgetown, Texas, Tom Reggie, wrote an article about some personal retreat that he does. And I would encourage you to read that article because it was a great way that he connects with God throughout some time. And I would encourage you with that challenge as well. How can you use this time to strengthen your spiritual relationship, to strengthen your relationship with God? And that's going to look different for every person, but God is number one, family is number two, and work is number three. So we would be remiss, of course, if we didn't talk a little bit about how do you recharge and make your top priority again, which is your relationship with God, your top priority. So a lot of encouragement and encourage some reflection on that particular one. But then the other priority that we're talking about, number three, is work. And I do have to say, I like the change of pace, Rob, where you're talking about, you're not doing teacher evaluations. You're not doing student discipline isn't a thing in the summer, that kind of stuff that does take up your time. So it's also okay to have a little bit of fun with your job in the summer. I love to go through some professional development material in the summer. I'll pick a couple of books to read and just find some information or, like I'm not a real fiction guy, so give me a good like leadership book and I'm all over it. But I'll try to target some books if I know what my initiatives are that are coming up for next year. Look at your school strategic plan or just figure out what's really going to hit the radar next year. And I'm going to try to preload some books with that over the summer because there's no test on these books. Nobody is quizzing me on them. If I read them, great. And if I don't, oh, well, I typically get through them, but it can be some enjoyable work reading. And so look at your patterns of what you have to do based on also what you don't get to do through the year. Because there's aspects of your job you don't get to do. And sometimes those are the fun aspects of your job. And so I'd encourage you to have a little bit of fun with that over the summer as well.
Yeah, it's really important because as a principal, as a teacher, as somebody in education, the summer is a unique time period. It just is. And we have time to schedule those things. And one of the fun things I want to encourage you to look at, there will still be people in the building during the summer. There are still people working, whether that's you and the administrative assistant, custodians turning over the building for the summer. Maybe you have a teacher who wants to come in and they love planning everything for the fall. So they maybe they're empty nesters, maybe they're just really type A like that. They come in and you see them almost all summer and they're getting stuff ready. So whoever's in the building, you want to recognize the work that they're doing because you are still chief cheerleader of your building even in the summer. You now just have a smaller team to cheer for over the summer. And that's just the in-person team. The people who are still part of your ministry who maybe won't step foot in the building over the summer, it's not bad to give them a little bit of encouragement too and just send out an email. Hey, I know probably nobody's checking the email. I just want to say really excited for next school year. Can't wait to have all you guys back. Little things like that. One of the things that is really, really important that I think not enough principals do, and so this will be my hey, I really think you should do this. It's got my stamp of approval on it. If you have an administrative assistant who you work closely with, and that's most of us, take them out to lunch in the summer. You can't take them out to lunch hardly any other time. Take them out to lunch at least once over the summer. Just celebrate them, let them know how thankful you are for them, which is something you should be doing all the time anyway. But usually you can't get out of the building. You can't tell the administrative assistant March 17th on a Tuesday, hey, let's go have lunch. That's no, somebody's got to do work. we can't do that, right? So in the summer, do that. It's a good little change of pace. And if there's an opportunity to get ice cream in the summer, I just want to say go get it. Go get the ice cream. Just think of it this way. Go get the ice cream.
Do it. Do it. Absolutely. You can't go wrong with ice cream. Hey, let me give a perspective here that I thought was really kind of cool. Just as we've been talking, it reminded me of something that a teacher at my last school did. And she told us, I think it was before we left for the summer. If not, it was just shortly after that. She said, what I'm going to do is I am going to be asking you for photos of what you and your family did over the summer. And I'm going to ask for those. I'm going to want them by, like, say, August 1st, whatever date she put on it, right? And then when we had our back to school staff meetings in August, what she did is she had created a video of all the fun things that the staff had done over the summer. She put all these pictures into a really fun music video and said, here is how God blessed each one of us in our summer. And for a little while, my frame of mind was, what do I want my pictures to be in that video? Now, I'm not talking about, like, where did I want my pictures to be? Like, where were we going for vacation or anything? But, like, do I have pictures that I can contribute that are showing the joy that I had with my family, the rest that I took, maybe the book that I read? Did I have those pictures, or would my pictures be pictures of me in my office? Because that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do this. Now, I'm actually, my kids are getting to be a little bit older. I've got one teenager in the house, another one is gonna roll over in the fall. Summers are precious. You only have so many with your family, with your kids. And when I think back on it, I want my kids to know that, hey, we had our summer breaks. We did a lot of fun things. This is when you make memories. So if you were doing that video at your school, what would your pictures be this summer? What are the pictures you're going to submit on August 1st for that back to school video? Maybe that gives you a frame of mind or a context on how you could look at how important a summer is, for you, and therefore for your family, and therefore for your school. Because if you take that time, you are doing your school a favor as well.
Yeah, there was one summer I was helping drywall an office at school with the two principals ago principal. He, well-loved guy, Denny Vurick, fantastic guy, really bright, did wonderful things with that school, really nice guy. And he was helping me drywall this office. Well, okay, I'll rephrase that. I was helping him because I didn't know anything about it. He was doing it, and I was like, I'll help you, sure. And we're leaving for the day, and he would say two things to me. He'd always say, "This year's going to be the best year ever," and he was saying that as like the retired principal to me, the new principal. And he would always say, the most important people aren't in these walls; they're at your house, your family. And he told me that that's something that earlier in his career he maybe wasn't so good at. So he's like, hey, be better at it than I was. Your family is more important than the school. Remember that. And that is something I think we all need to hear, because we know that and we don't do a great job of sticking to that sometimes. And so this is two more people telling you your family is indeed more important than your school, right? I just want to get that out there. Okay. The other big thing in the summer, any big initiatives for the next year you want to roll out well, and you want to make sure that you have all your work done. And the summer is a great time to do that. So if there's any big changes that you make for the next school year, generally we work on a lot of those in the fall. Very few of them should be a surprise, by the way. Like, don't tell teachers, hey, remember everything we did in the spring? We're doing none of that this fall. I've made all the decisions over the summer. Hey, congratulations, surprise. Don't do that. But they should know about them, and you should make sure that all that work is ready to go, because, like I said, teachers come in sometimes to plan. You have time now to plan as well. You can get things in order. Do things like clean your office, which you can never do during the school year. I encourage you to look at your office with a set of fresh eyes and go, okay, how long has that poster been up, and do I like it? How long has my door been decorated that way, and do I like it? Is there anything that I need to clean or anything that I need to organize? And if you have family that is sometimes at school with you, and I know my family was sometimes at school with me in my office, my wife would come have lunch with me in the office, right? I'd ask, look around, is there anything that sticks out, good or bad? And then I'd take that and go, okay, this is a bad thing. Oh yeah, that is a pile of papers that's been there for a long time. Or those binders on the shelf, have I ever moved that binder? I don't know if I have. So little things like that too are really important. And that realize that when parents come into your office, when teachers come into your office, when kids come into your office, the way your office is set up says something. And the summer is a great time to look at that and organize that because you have the time to move some things around. So that's just a little kind of a tiny, on the importance scale, that one's way down there, but it's still something that you at least have time to do now. Mike, you got anything like that?
No, I was going to totally agree with you there because it also makes life a little easier. If you can use the summer, to clean your office, but set up some systems that are going to work for you for the coming year just to make life a whole lot easier. I'm with you, Rob. Those binders, I'm not a guy who likes those things. Or one of the things that I sometimes spend summertime doing is digitizing material because I mean Bethany's been here for a long time, and a lot of the records and things that we have from school board minutes or so forth, it's all in binders, paper copies. Now, that's not just about me getting rid of binders. That's also about saying, what heaven forbid anything happens to the building over the summer and those records are gone. So there's some, little low projects, totem pole projects there that you can get done. But it's if you can take a day or two and be selfish with it, the stuff that you didn't get to do. I love what you're saying about the posters or whatever. Update the things. It's kind of cool too because the kids and the staff, when they walk into your office, they'll know, oh, hey, that's new, and it's fun to see. But it is really a time when if you can set some systems in place to make your life easier throughout the rest of the school year, I mean, that's a good use of your time as well. So that would pretty much be my one tip that I think I would share. That totally is in line with what you're sharing. All the rest of it just is I'm sitting in my office right now looking around and going, yeah, what would I change or what does need to happen? And I can see the little projects that are sitting there. But definitely take a look at what is going to give you the best bang, the best value for your buck moving forward. And I think that's what I would encourage some time on.
Yeah, and the only other thing I think we could touch on, which we will do just very briefly because there's probably an episode for this, is getting ready for the next school year. That'll be there before you know it, and you want to make sure that the experience coming back for teachers and students is a good one. And so some of your time in the summer will be spent planning that. My one encouragement, and like I said, we'll probably have an episode about this. If we don't have one already, we might do another one. We'll do a repeat, I guess.
There we
But
go.
if we is that if you take the agenda out from last year when teachers came back, you blow the dust off it and you change the date, I'm going to tell you now that that's not good enough. Sorry, the people have changed. Maybe you have new staff. The years definitely changed. Your priorities have probably shifted a little bit. New things have happened. So don't do that. But like I said, there's a whole other episode there. I think we've probably given people enough time. And some people are probably listening to this on summer break, and I don't want to take any more of your summer up. Mike, you want to close us in prayer here?
I do. I'm going to say one more thing before I do that, Rob. The other piece in light of that, and I'll say it in this episode, is that also plan ahead for what August looks like for teachers and communicate that to them now. We have some very predictable things that we do. It's not the same old staff meeting, but we do our first day back is always a team building exercise with the staff. If it's an escape room that we all go to, or this year, I haven't told the staff yet this, so if Bethany staff are listening, surprise, surprise, I'm going to take them curling. We're going to go curling as our staff kind of get back together, which is super fun. That's coming from the Canadian in me. But and then they know all the dates and the patterns of the meetings and everything else that I expect of them in August. So I will say that one tidbit is if you haven't already communicated that, get that to them because then they can be at peace knowing the expectations as well. So that's my thought.
And you definitely have staff members who listen, so the cat's out of the bag on the curling there, I think.
There we go. It's gonna be fun. I won't make them wear traditional Scottish, curling garb. We'll that would take a step too far. All right, but why don't we close it off in a word of prayer? Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the school year that you've given to each one of us. Thank you for the ways that you've equipped us to be your servants and to provide opportunities for these kids to hear the gospel and the saving message of Jesus. Lord, as we look forward to the summer, we also thank you for the time that is on the horizon, for the gifts that you're going to give us there. And I pray that you would allow each one of us the time that we need to recharge so that we can be the most effective servants for you in the kingdom. I pray that you would be with all of our students and with their families as well as they transition into a summer break, that you would give them safety throughout anything that they do throughout the summer, and that you would allow them to get excited for the things that are to come in the coming school year. Bless our schools during this phase as well, that we could continue to be outposts to the community of the love that you give to us in Jesus. We thank you for all of the gifts that you daily provide. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.